Welcome, fellow castigators. In 1966, when Doctor Who was going strong, it was clear that due to William Hartnell's failing health, he would not be able to carry out his desire to play the Doctor throughout the rest of the series. It was decided that since the Doctor is an alien, he could have the ability to renew his body, and the production could bring in a new actor. Hartnell was pleased that Patrick Troughton had been chosen for the role, saying Troughton was the only man in England who could take over. In my opinion, he was right. Patrick Troughton injected the Doctor with much more humor than his predecessor, all while keeping up that trademark irritability. Doctor Who creator Sidney Newman suggested that the Doctor should be more of a cosmic hobo this time around, like a space-age Charlie Chaplin. In Season 4, the second Doctor is introduced in the 6-part serial Power of the Daleks. He's unpredictable, roguish, and playing the recorder. Right out of the bag, he's undeniably the Doctor, yet with some new aspects, which set the tone for years to come. If the second Doctor hadn't worked out, Doctor Who would not have had the same longevity. His character development proceeds fast, with the next serial, The Highlanders, featuring him knocking people out, pretending to be both a maid and a German scientist, and stuffing people in closets, showing his humor and tenacity. Following that is The Underwater Menace, which does well to show his cunning and manipulative side. In other words, the second Doctor is such a good character, with little time needed for brewing. His companions are excellent too. Every companion after Susan, Barbara, and Ian have felt like some variation of the three, with only the actors trying to make it feel different. But this time, Jamie, Zoe, and Victoria feel like they're completely their own distinct characters. Jamie McCrimmon is particularly memorable. Patrick Troughton and Fraser Hines got along famously, and their chemistry is so strong that in future Doctor Who media, Jamie is often referred to as the Doctor's best friend, which is high praise considering all of the wonderful companions he's traveled with. Troughton and Hines were infamous pranksters and would often improvise if they knew a scene wouldn't be filmed more than once and would be guaranteed to end up in the final cut. This created loads of hilarious and genuine moments throughout the episodes. Speaking of which, this era has some of the most iconic stories in the show's history. The Ice Warriors, the Mind Robber, the Abominable Snowmen, the Invasion, the Evil of the Daleks, the War Games, I could go on. But my favorite of all of these is The Tomb of the Cybermen. I've probably watched it more times than any classic series episode. It's so damn good, and every ingredient works. The big cyber tomb sets, the twisty story with heartfelt moments, actors like George Pastel as Klieg. Heck, even the way it's filmed. It feels like they were allowed more cuts and more camera movement than usual. Also, for some reason, much of it is shot on film instead of tape, which allows for some very good-looking scenes. We are very lucky to have a console room scene on film. Anyway, I'm not the only one with love for this serial. Matt Smith said that he had no idea how he was going to play the Doctor until he watched Tomb of the Cybermen. Turns out Patrick Troughton himself had many ideas for how he might play the Doctor, including wearing a turban and putting on blackface. This leads many people to think that Troughton was racist. But you have to remember that he was desperate to avoid typecasting and didn't want to be recognized in the role. His intentions were not meant to be harmful in any way. Not to mention, his era has several actors of color in it, such as Enemy of the World or Tomb of the Cybermen. This was before even Star Trek aired, which was generally considered the first major network show to blatantly ignore segregation. Patrick Troughton was so worried about typecasting that he almost declined to return 3 years later in The Three Doctors. Thankfully he did, and he enjoyed it so much that he also appeared in The Five Doctors and The Two Doctors. His performances in those are so memorable, which is impressive considering how hard it must be to stand out while surrounded by other great actors also playing the Doctor. Troughton also made frequent appearances at conventions dressed as the Doctor, and was always eager to join a panel or meet fans. In fact, he was attending a convention in the state of Georgia the week that he died. Although he should have listened to his physicians, I greatly admire that he was doing what he loved and striving to make others happy to the very last days of his life. As for other portrayals of the Second Doctor, two of Troughton's sons have played him in Big Finish audios, and Fraser Hines himself does a cracking impression of his late friend. I believe that Hines plays him in the majority of the Second Doctor audio dramas. Anyhow, if you haven't watched the second era of Doctor Who, I highly recommend it. If anything, it's worth it to get to Season 6, which has the lowest number of missing episodes. It also has, in my opinion, the best TARDIS team in the entire show's run: the Doctor, Jamie McCrimmon, and Zoe Harriott. I hope this video was either a fun look back at that funny little man we called Doctor Who, or it convinced you to give him a try. Either way, subscribe for more content about television and other subjects.
Well, this is gay.